Hey friends, I am working in a child's board book to repurpose. As you can see, I have already done the collaging stage of my art journal page. I've used my favorite place to find materials for this is at the Goodwill bins or the Goodwill outlet. They have old books and just junk, basically, you dig through. And so I got cookbooks and music pages and old books and there's some scrapbook paper in there, some old maps. So I like to start, if you are using a old board book, they're usually very glossy, shiny surface to, keep kids from destroying them. But your collaging will have a hard time sticking unless you sand it down first. So don't skip that step. I tried doing it without sanding, and after it dried, I basically just peeled off my entire layer of collage in one piece. So that didn't work. So be sure to sand it down a little bit to give it something to kind of grab a hold of. So after I do the collaging, which I want to say, collaging is like one of my favorite parts of it because of the process, because it feels like, when you go hiking and you just look down at the seemingly randomness of, I don't know, the stones in the path or the branches and the leaves or whatever. It feels random, but yet it's so like perfect. I don't know. Collaging feels like that to me, where it appears to be random, although there is some intention. I follow some of the rules of photography in composition the same way I do in my art journal pages, which is the rule of thirds is if you, well, I'll kind of get to that later because that has more to do with focal point, but triangles, think triangles. So if you put something in the top left corner, and match it in the other corner, then you just kind of create triangles with like objects. So anyway, after we get through the collaging phase and that's all dry, which I use kind of a matte gel. I learned not to use Mod Podge on the collaging step because I like my watercolors and things to soak into the papers. And Mod Podge would leave kind of like a separation for the layer, so it wouldn't see it. So it depends on what effect you're going for. So after the collaging's done, I like to do some stenciling. So these, what I just used here was modeling paste with some stencils. And I set up my art studio upstairs where I don't have a sink, so I just keep a bottle of water up here so I can pour for my watercolors. So I started out trying to experiment with sprays, but I found that watercolor just works easier for me. So after the stencil modeling paste is dry, then my next step is to add color. And bees and honey make me think of yellow. So that's where I started. And you can this is another one of those kind of intuitive things where you just mess with it. I love this form of art because it's very forgiving. If you do something that you're like, I don't really like that, you just keep going, you change it, you put something over it, and it really is about the process. Like, enjoy the process. Don't worry about making some, perfect work of art that you're going to sell for $1 million. This is just for you and your mental health and to enjoy it. I used to think that for art to be authentic, it had to just every thought and idea had to originate in your own brain. But I'm realizing more and more that humans learn from imitation. Like, even little children, they stare at you and they watch how you move your face and how you speak, and they imitate your words. And then they, at an early age, they'll play pretend, and they'll try out what it feels like to play mommy or daddy or teacher or grocery store. They just, imitation is like trying out something new. And I think when it comes to art, for me, that gives me a lot of confidence for me to, follow a YouTube tutorial or look through Pinterest and see just elements that other people have done and tried and imitate them. So there's nothing wrong with that. And that's not faking art. It's still real art. So if you needed permission to do that, I hereby give you permission. And okay, so I love these acrylic markers. I got this from you. I don't know if you've discovered the Temu website yet. It's a bunch of super cheap supplies, and sometimes you got to really look at like the quantity or size of things that you're ordering, because a lot of times you get it and you're like, oh, it's tiny. I thought it was going to be big. And some of it's just cheap crap, but I have found a few things I really like, and those acrylic markers are one. I'm going to get them back out here in a few minutes, so I'll mention them again. But this is just acrylic paints that I have collected over the years from different projects. I just, Hobby Lobby, wherever. I don't think they're anything particularly fancy, just your regular old acrylic paints. And again, you can kind of see the triangle composition that I use when I'm as I'm marking and making colors in the page, but also just you pause every now and then, kind of step back, look at it, what needs to be, I don't know, you just kind of go with your gut. So as I'm going through this, I try to not have too much paint on my brush. It's almost dry. You can that way, you can always add more, but I like to start off kind of thin because I like some of my collage papers to show through. I have made other projects, and I might make a video out of them where I almost completely cover it. Like, 'cause I did a galaxy one where it was pretty much black afterwards. You didn't see anything. That'd probably be the exception. Otherwise, I like the elements, the layers to pop, because I think layers give it depth when you can see different layers. Yeah. So also, this is my first video, so I'm trying to decide what feels natural, how much. I've seen it done both ways, where someone kind of talks you through every little stage, and sometimes it sounds like it's a little too much rambling, because you can see with your eyes what I'm doing. Don't really need to explain that I'm outlining the stencils with acrylic markers. So I'll just let the music play for a while, and you can join, and then I'll pop back in here when something new. This turquoise color has a metallic sheen to it. I got it in a 4-pack that you can get at Walmart. There's like a kind of a purpley color and a green. Anyway, I really like them. They have a pearl, like a pearlescent metallic type of sheen to them. So when you pick up your finished product and kind of move it around in the light, it catches and pops. So I figured the wings, since the wings are transparent, would be good to use those. Well, there I give away my age. You can all see my wisdom showing. I'm 46, and I am trying to embrace my silver hair gradually. My husband's a bit older than I am, and he is in great shape, and so for his benefit, I try not to look I don't want to look older than him, because then he'll feel aged. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with growing older. We're all getting older one day at a time at the same rate as everybody else. Okay, so I just kind of jumped ahead because I'm sure you get the idea. You don't need to watch me do every little stroke. But I find black and white outlining really helps things to kind of pop off the page. Some contrast. And sometimes, as you can see, some of the little are they octagons? Pentagons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's a 6? Hexagon? Yeah, hexagon. Some of the hexagons that I colored before, as I've added layers, like the original yellow kind of faded away. Okay, so here's another package of acrylic markers that I got off of Temu.com. It was actually one of the first things I ordered from there, and I'm really happy with them. I've had them for a few months, and they're lasting a long time, and they don't dry out. And I like the colors. This yellow is kind of a banana yellowy color. I remember on our Facebook group, somebody asked, how do you know when you're done with a page? And for me, I just keep going and going until it just kind of smiles back at me. Or as long as I'm just still enjoying the process. So I'm starting just these random lines, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to add little details to them. And in the end, you'll see it ends up looking like drips, because I'm working upside down. And I love how it was like a happy little accident, because I didn't realize I was making drips until I was done. I thought, oh, how appropriate. It's like honey running down the page. So like I said, this is my first video. I would love some constructive feedback. Do you think is it going on too long? Because I'm basically doing kind of the same thing here, just feel like, oh, I like this purple. I'm going to add some purple in the hexagons. I don't need to take you through every little thought process, but, sometimes it's nice and relaxing just to watch someone else's art come to life and take shape. I enjoy that. Hopefully you are enjoying this. So I guess there's videos for different things. Some are very tutorial-y, where it's like step 1, do this, step 2, do that, and which is great when you don't feel like you have the confidence to just dive in, it helps to have those very specific instructions. And sometimes if we are a visual learner, all you really need to do is see the process, and you can just take off. I'm jumping all around here. I'll go to the other side, do some marking over there. Just whatever floats your boat. I believe I got these stencils from Temu as well. Yes, I did. And they were significantly larger than some of the stencils that I have ordered in the past from them. So again, look at the size so you make sure you know what you're getting, and hopefully it's what you intend to get. But I was really excited about the little beehive. I like bees. Bees are fascinating creatures. They all have a purpose in their community, just like people. I believe we're created for community. That's what I love about our online art groups. We have so many different backgrounds of people from all over the world. There's people who, I'm always seeing translations, and there's people posting from the UK and Australia and Africa, all over the place. And I'm from the US, and we have other backgrounds too, religious backgrounds, political backgrounds, but we kind of put all that aside and enjoy the commonality of our passion for creativity. I like things like that. There's so much in this world that divides us. I love it when we can find common ground with people. I like people. Animals, I feel like, is the same way. It does the same thing with like art. I go to the dog park, and I can tell a lot of us have come from different lifestyles, but we all love our dogs, and that's the common bond. So I appreciate artists from all kinds of backgrounds. So yeah, just keep doodling away and adding little details until I'm satisfied. I feel like I'm getting close. It's funny, as I watched this, I thought, oh, I didn't do white in the middle, those lines in the middle. It needs white, but you'll see in a minute. Apparently I remembered or figured it out, because they will turn white. Yeah, there's that honey yellow. Look at it drip. Doesn't it make you just want to go stick your finger in a jar of honey? So good. Honey is really good for you too. Antimicrobial, antibacterial. If you're ever sick, some honey, apple cider vinegar, and some hot tea water, and turmeric if you have it, just in a little teacup. It does wonders for a sore throat, cough. Oh, you can't see that pen. It's, I'm going to have to look. It is a Signo Uniball white pen. I got it on Amazon. I think a 3-pack is like $8, and they are the best white pens. They go on everything. I watched a review video beforehand, and pretty much these pens blow all other white pens out of the water. So get those. So I had just attended an amazing production called Esther at the Sight and Sound Theater in Branson, Missouri. and I highly recommend if you ever get a chance to go to the Sight and Sound Theater. It is incredible. They do different Bible stories, and their set and effects and costumes and everything is just second to none. They're amazing. So this queen bee made me think of Esther. So I called her Esther. And one of the verses that she uses a lot in the play, not in the book of Esther, but is to be still and know that Yahweh is God. You know, when life is hard and challenges come, and if you know the story of Esther, her people were pretty much sentenced to death, and God used her in a mighty way to save her people. See, somewhere in the video, I don't know when, maybe I edited it out, I did add little white marks to the middle. So I remember at this stage feeling like I was almost done, and I added these little, they're almost like plants or seaweed. We're not underwater, but, and then I saw some of the a pattern that was peeking through from my original layer of collage. It was a scrapbook paper with some botanical print on it. So I just used my pen to kind of outline that. I like how that looked. Ta-da! There it is. And then I add a layer of Mod Podge afterwards just to seal everything on top. And here's a closer look.